She is like sort of an appendage to the husband. She is subordinate. She is not a separate identity as such. Diwali said marital rape is a big part of the violence reported by women who seek help from her organization, but they often avoid coming out in the open with their allegations. Regularly undergone this issue, that lady says, every day my dignity and self-esteem were reduced to the color of my skin. I felt a worthless piece of flesh. This pinpoints to us the perpetual colorism, the bias against women of darker skin tones that has vexed India for a long time. Indian visual media, including the cinema field, has been thriving on colorism and misogyny. When they can accept a dark-skinned male superheroes, they can never accept even brown-skinned female heroines. That is the situation. It has not been helping people to uproot and annihilate this deep-rooted colorism and misogynistic attitude. Instead, in the recent years, it has been doing lip service to this protest against the perception of fair skin alone is beautiful issue by showcasing brown-skinned or dark-skinned heroines in the advertisement or the movies. They're just doing lip service. They don't mean it actually. Men with dark skin tones are not subjected to this bias. Even from Mills and Boone days, men with a darker skin tone are actually personified as superheroes. Women's rights are not recognized here as human rights. That's my point. Another eye-opening incident is when Priyanka Chopra, she doesn't need any introduction, when Priyanka Chopra opened up about how she was lightened up in her movie. See, just like how your AI does it today, how your other moderation tools do it today, Priyanka Chopra's skin was lightened up in her movies in India as filmmakers saw her skin as a kind of the skin tone as a drawback. She was in the Bollywood industry. So in a casual interview for the Indian Express on March 28, 2023, to Dax Shepard on his podcast, Priyanka said that when she started in the movies business, colorism was so normalized. She also spoke about participating in commercials for fairness creams and how she later realized that it was extremely damaging. She has accepted that she has grown up from there. It is a learning experience for each Indian when a person of Priyanka Chopra's caliber accepts that she was forced to do many things that went against her personal standards. To continue in her own words, I remember when I joined movies, I was considered dusky, written as the dusky actress. And I was like, what? What is dusky? What does it mean? Yet, I did a commercial for fairness cream because you're doing a beauty brand. A beauty brand is a real big part of an actress's trajectory. And all the beauty brands were selling those creams. She shared irritating, stupid advertisements like a fairness cream advertisement that shows a dark skin toned average Indian woman who suddenly starts looking like an unrecognizable British woman after applying that cream are the bane of the society. These should not be allowed to be aired at all. They raise the effective filters of women. Still, the male public does not look at it as having its impact on human rights. It is the visual media, especially the advertisements and cinemas, that have made life miserable for the women in general, not only in the growing up years, but also in the grown-up years. Please remember, I am not bringing in media, advertisements, movies here just for want of critical content. These ingredients are the inhibitors for women's rights to be completely recognized as human rights. Advertisements aimed at the height of women, literally height, physical height, trigger their insecurities and also belittle them in a social setup. In one of the advertisements, the girl says that after taking that particular product regularly, she has grown taller, and as a result, she has managed to get a prospective groom, and she was able to get married and be happy. What nonsense is this? Whereas in the same advertisement, the man who had consumed that product has grown up in height and managed to land in a job of his choice. Just see the kind of image created. The gender role assigning reflects that these advertisements follow the so-called traditional patriarchal values. Another example would be an advertisement for tea that was supposed to contain curative values. A couple, obviously in their 60s, is seen on the dais in the presence of a Hindu priest. They are doing something called Sashtibda Purti in the advertisement. And the priest coughs, and immediately the woman gets up from her seat to offer him a curative tea with all medicinal herbs. Then another woman steps in and says, no, 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 today is your day. I will do it myself. Even for a moment, the man sitting next to her doesn't bother to rise. That is not how the advertisement is shaped. Cooking, hospitality, caregiving to elders, childcare, child rearing, taking care of the mental well-being of children and the entire family, etc. Well, the list does not seem to end there. All these activities are identified with the women, and this reinforces the traditional gender roles through visual media, whether it be advertisements or movies. These not only highlight gender inequality, but also highlight absolute lack of awareness how this could shape itself into human rights violation. When men are shown as sharing the significant household responsibilities, it is always projected as a help. A man helps the woman. No recognition of responsibility there. As Pooja Bhattacharya, a lady, a researcher, states in her article, Sexism in Indian Advertisement, published through Womb, an internet journal, marketing in India has become increasingly focused on gender roles, family hierarchy, and traditional marriage practices. Companies usually resort to ad campaigns which have a major role of objectification and stereotyping women. In the process of attracting attention to aid recall, advertisers often resort to sexual themes. Evidently, such themes demand the presence of attractive women and explicit plots. These themes often lead to portrayals of a particular gender in a derogatory fashion. We keep receiving socially predetermined scripts about women and their assumed gender roles in society through visual media and internalize them as part of their identity. Irrespective of our gender, this affects our psyche at a deeper level. Media is controlled mainly by male members or corporates that are insensitive to the patterns they are creating and inflicting upon the Indian psyche. Media has to make a conscious attempt at redefining the advertising culture and make it more relevant to the current society, leaving behind the mental debris of the previous generation. Majority of washing powder, washing soap, body soaps, cleaning liquids, utensils, washing paste advertisements feature and focus on women in general. There's internalized misogyny in these advertisements, and this is being increasingly noticed by the thinking younger generation of women. Female characters are always invariably thin. You see, this is another problem. Male characters appear with a variety of body sizes in Indian advertisement, and most of the slimming center advertisements are focused on women audience. Body shaming has been a fixed feature of these advertisements. These slimming center advertisements have been demeaning and pulling down the confidence of women for a long time. Even actresses do not escape this trap. That is the tragedy. Even an advanced country like Singapore is not an exception to the slimming advertisement products and centers. Advertisements that urge people to focus on savings is fine, but there are specific advertisements asking us to save for the marriage of the daughters and the education of the son. These advertisements are highly condemnable. All the jewelry advertisements in India are aimed at women, though ironically no woman is able to walk on the streets safely wearing all that jewelry today. Jewelry ads are the main reason for creating many rifts among families and even society at large. These kind of atrocious advertisements express the inbuilt misogyny and insensitivity in the society. These kind of advertisements inhibit positive changes in the society. Give me a second. Say in the 1980s, sewing machine advertisements with a tagline, "Train her to be the ideal housewife," used to come. Even in 2024, through the methodology of the advertisement. Though the methodology of advertisement has changed, the critical content is the same at a subtle level. Gender role stereotyping has been a crime that has gone unrecognized for ages. In Indian movies in general, and in Kollywood and Bollywood movies in particular, the male lead could be 70 or 75 years old, whereas the female lead has to be under 20 or early 20s. And this under 20 female lead is supposed to act in a very excellent manner in romantic duets with the 75-year-old grandpa. She is supposed to bring that expression on her face, or she is denied a role in that movie. Atrocious. Though this sounds ridiculous even to the moviegoers themselves, the industry does not want to give up this practice. Feminist Kate Millett defined sexual politics in 1970. Yes, second. Kate Millett actually focuses on the relationships with respect to sex, gender, and sexuality, and in relation to the societal system of patriarchy. This is to be understood well even in the Indian context. Though what Millett offers is supposed to be a critique of patriarchy within the Western literature, it is still applicable even to the Indian context. Visual media has become insensitive to this too again. Unless women emancipation and social emancipation happen simultaneously without being diverse from each other, mental health of women will be a perpetual issue. As long as women's rights and women's empowerment are not considered as the basic principles of human rights, we cannot be considered as even an evolving society. If something has the capacity to change society in its entirety, if something has the capacity to eliminate negativity from the globe, women's empowerment is the backbone of that process. The idea and image of a multitasking modern woman is another trap that immerses a woman into unacknowledged mental issues. This is also reinforced by visual media, thinking that it's glorifying women. You might have seen very many women's pictures are drawn with 10 hands and 40 legs, doing quite a lot of things. This gives us a kind of a false pride, false ego. Actually, they are trying to manipulate us. Woman is trying to cope with her modern avatar without openly expressing the challenges in confronting to this image. This adorning of various roles by women seems to connect back to the Aristotelian metaphysical distinction of form from matter, where the form is better than matter. In other words, the society, predominantly male-dominated, is the form which decides what structure woman should be put into. The woman is the being or the matter negotiating the various forms. If we examine the issue with the lenses of Kimberly Crenshaw's concept of intersectionality, we can observe the average Indian women are impacted by gender, caste, class, economic circumstances, level of education, body images, cultural background, and so on and so forth. Again, visual media, with its warped marketing strategies and financial targets, seems to be detached from such observation. These forms layers of perplexities in unraveling the identity crisis that's faced by many women at different stages. But if at all the emotional turmoil faced by the Indian women due to various factors that condition their lives and inhibit their growth is to be understood by those who are outside their orbit, we have to take guidance from Simone de Beauvoir, who has written extensively on situated choices and situated freedom. You might have heard the name of Simone de Beauvoir. The choice, to be able to understand the choices, we have to look further. The choices of freedom of women in Beauvoir establishes, do not exist outside the frame of reference of their form and context of their situation. It exists within their frame of reference. As a society, still there is no recognition that words such as permitted and allowed cannot be used among equals. For example, a man cannot say, I have permitted my wife to do this, I have allowed my mother to do this. Wrong. It is wrong. And I have permitted my grown up daughter to behave like this. I have allowed my grown up daughter to behave like this. No, it is wrong. Your grown up daughter is your equal. I'm not talking about young kids. The grown up girls 18 and above are your equals. Women are making effort to start educating their male counterparts through legal, societal forums and academic channels as achieving the desired result is not within their reach without the joint effort of all the groups. A massive awareness campaign is needed where thinkers, academicians, social activists, psychiatric counselors, psychologists, psychiatrists, and the compassionate hands of law jointly start forming women groups where space for open sharing and uninhibited expressions are encouraged. These efforts must be spearheaded by a massive change in the visual media as well. Say, if counseling starts at nursery school level, at least a few generations down the lane, chauvinism and marginalization can be abolished. And this presentation is only an attempt to make academicians think further and force them to make a breakthrough in the non-academic arena, especially at the grassroots level, to bring about the change in the society we live in. The moment initiatives for a widespread awareness of women's rights or as fundamental human rights are started, we can bridge the gap between the both. Last but not the least, I firmly believe that if even the research methodologies are women inclusive, a massive change in the psyche of the scholars as well as the readers could pave way for a better balanced world where a woman is treated as another human being. Well, towards this mindset change, let us march together. Thank you very much to the history department. Thank you very much to each one of the professors who has given me this opportunity. And I really thank Dr. Nageshwari for remembering me and inviting me for the seminar. I hope it was of some use to all the thinking younger generation of women. Thank you very much.